Welcome to a new special deep dive from AI Unraveled. This is the show created and produced by Etienne Newman, who's a senior engineer and a passionate soccer dad up in Canada.
That's right. And if you're enjoying these explorations we do into AI,
Mhm.
please take just a second to like and subscribe on Apple. It really does help us out.
It really does. So today we're going, well, way beyond just scratching the surface. We're talking about deep research,
Mm, mm.
specifically how artificial intelligence is, reshaping it. We've pulled together some really fascinating information to unpack what it really means to dig deep.
How it's traditionally been done, right?
Yeah,
And the surprising ways AI tools, things like Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, are really changing the whole landscape.
exactly. And for you, our listener, the learner, we get it. You're looking to gain knowledge, probably quickly, but thoroughly too.
Yeah, think of this deep dive as your, let's say, express lane to understanding deep research, especially now in the age of AI.
Yeah.
We've tried to sift through all the complexity.
Bring you the key insights, a clear picture, hopefully without being too overwhelming.
Our mission today is pretty simple, really. We want to get to the core questions.
Right.
What is deep research? How did we use to approach it?
And what's AI bringing to the table now? And, ultimately, why does this all matter for you? For anyone trying to gain real knowledge.
Okay, so let's start right there, the basics. What exactly is deep research?
Well, in the academic world, it's always been much more than just a quick Google search, right?
Definitely.
It's about really getting into the weeds, a thorough investigation, taking a critical look at the information, interpreting what you find.
And then synthesizing it,
Yeah.
pulling it all together to tackle complex questions.
Yeah, like imagine a detective on a really tough case, that kind of in-depth analysis, looking at every angle, trying to grasp the bigger picture, maybe figure out the why. That's kind of the spirit.
Exactly. Moving beyond just knowing what something is to really understanding the how and the why.
Right.
And now we're seeing this new dimension powered by AI. These aren't your everyday chatbots.
No.
We're talking about really sophisticated systems. They're designed to act like autonomous researchers.
Autonomous. Wow.
Yeah, they can find information across, huge digital landscapes, compare different viewpoints almost instantly, spot connections,
Connections that might not be obvious.
potentially, yeah, and then synthesize all that into comprehensive analyses, often much, much faster than a human could. Think about OpenAI. They're developing agents specifically for this.
Right. Agents that can synthesize loads of online info for really complex, multi-step research tasks.
Exactly, aiming for the kind of insightful output you'd expect from a skilled human analyst.
So, okay, we've got the human way and now this AI way. Are they totally separate things? Or is there overlap?
Oh, there's huge overlap.
Yeah.
And they're becoming more connected all the time. It's better to think of AI as a powerful collaborator.
An amplifier, maybe?
Yeah, an amplifier for our own research abilities.
Yeah,
Whether it's a human spending months digging into archives or an AI crunching massive data sets in hours, the goal is the same.
Profound, nuanced understanding.
That's it. The big question now is AI a fundamentally new kind of deep research? Or is it an incredibly powerful new tool within that established tradition?
That's a really interesting question. It lets us explore and understand things on a scale we just couldn't before.
Precisely.
So, okay, let's contrast this. How is deep research different from just, looking stuff up quickly, surface level stuff?
It's a world of difference, really. Think about surface learning. That's mostly about memorizing facts, being able to repeat them back.
Rote memorization.
Right. But deep research, that lines up with what educators call deep learning. That's where you're actively engaging with the ideas, right? You're spotting patterns, applying knowledge in new ways.
Really thinking critically about it.
Exactly. It's not passive. It's an active search for meaning, not just accepting the first answer you find.
Yeah, not just the top result on a search page.
Precisely. Simple information gathering often relies on, general online sources without really assessing their credibility or considering different angles.
Okay.
Deep research is deliberate. It's rigorous. It's about making sense of information. And, while AI can massively speed up processing that information,
There's a but coming.
there is that human element. Critical thinking, interpretation, validation, that remains absolutely essential.
Especially given AI limitations. Bias, maybe, hallucinations.
Exactly. Those are real concerns. So even with the best AI tools, that deep understanding, it ultimately hinges on human intellect, on our ability to critically evaluate what the AI gives us.
So why bother? Why go through all that effort for depth? Isn't good enough, often? Well, good enough.
Sometimes,
Maybe.
Deep understanding leads to knowledge that actually sticks. It helps you build, like, mental
So you
frameworks.
can connect ideas, apply them.
Yes, exactly. Connect ideas, apply them effectively in different situations. Plus, often that drive to understand deeply, it comes from genuine curiosity, intrinsic motivation, makes learning more engaging.
That makes a lot of sense, especially, I guess, when the stakes are high.
Absolutely. Think about evidence-based policymaking. Decisions there affect real lives. You need to understand the underlying causes and effects.
Can't just guess the lark.
No. And complex global challenges, like climate change, you need research that digs into all the interconnected pieces. It's no coincidence that AI deep research tools are being aimed at critical sectors: finance, science, policy.
Because the need for thorough, reliable research is paramount there.
Exactly. Superficial understanding leads to superficial solutions. Deep research. That provides the solid foundation you need for real progress, for innovation.
Okay, so if it's that important, how do researchers actually do it? What are the core methods?
Right. Achieving that depth isn't random. It requires systematic, principled methodologies. A key concept here is scientific rigor.
Rigor. Sounds serious.
It is, in a way. It's about commitment, care, conducting research with integrity, following the scientific method to make sure your findings are valid, reliable, and crucially, unbiased.
So how does that translate into practice?
It means careful planning of your study design, using the right methods for collecting and analyzing your data, and interpreting results objectively, not letting your own hopes or biases color the conclusions.
So it's not just about having a cool question, it's about the process of answering it.
Absolutely. Rigor also means engaging critically with previous research, knowing its strengths, its weaknesses, designing your work to build on that.
Okay.
It means being meticulous about variables, things that could affect your results. Like in biology, you need to consider age, genetics, things like that. And transparency is huge.
Documenting everything.
Everything. So others can understand, maybe even replicate your work. If research lacks rigor, well, you get results that can't be reproduced. That undermines everything.
What causes that lack of rigor?
Things like selective reporting, only showing the results that fit your hypothesis, using the wrong statistical analysis, having too few participants, flaws in the design, like not having proper controls or randomization.
So rigor is an active, ongoing process.
Constantly. Critical self-evaluation, meticulous planning every step of the way.
That sounds very quantitative. Numbers, experiments. What about understanding things like human experiences or social dynamics?
Great question. That's where qualitative approaches are essential. These methods are incredibly valuable for getting deep insights into the messy, complex reality of human life and society.
So less about numbers, more about meaning.
Exactly. Qualitative research digs into words, descriptions, concepts, ideas. It tries to understand the why behind people's actions, beliefs, experiences.
What are some examples of these methods?
There's a whole toolkit. Content analysis looks systematically for patterns in texts, videos, other communications. Narrative analysis studies the stories people tell.
Like how we make sense of our lives through stories.
Precisely. Discourse analysis examines how language is used in social or political contexts. Thematic analysis identifies recurring themes in data, like interview transcripts. Then you have grounded theory, which tries to build theory directly from the data. Interpretive phenomenological analysis, or IPA, aims for a really deep understanding of individual lived experiences.
Wow, that sounds intensive.
It can be. And ethnography, that's where a researcher immerses themselves in a culture or group for a long time, observing, participating, trying to get that insider view.
Like living with a community to understand it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And case studies, which we mentioned earlier, can be qualitative too, that deep dive into a single instance using multiple data sources.
So qualitative methods uncover nuances that numbers might miss.
Absolutely. Social processes, hidden meanings, context. But, and this is important, rigor matters just as much in qualitative research as in quantitative.
Yeah.
You still need systematic, credible methods.
Okay, so qualitative for depth of understanding, quantitative for measuring relationships, and maybe cause and effect.
That's a good way to think about it. Quantitative approaches focus on numerical data, statistical analysis. They're great for identifying large-scale patterns, testing specific hypotheses, and yes, exploring cause and effect.
What makes quantitative research rigorous?
Key things include careful control over variables, having clear, measurable definitions, operational definitions for what you're studying, designing studies so they can be replicated, and systematically testing hypotheses with statistics.
And how do you try to prove, or at least strongly suggest, that A causes B?
The gold standard is often the randomized controlled trial, or RCT. You randomly assign participants to groups. One gets the treatment or intervention, the other is a control group.
And the randomness helps rule out other explanations.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Because participants are assigned randomly, the group should be similar at the start, so any differences in outcome are more likely due to the intervention.
But RCTs aren't always possible or ethical.
Right. So what then? Researchers might use quasi-experimental designs. They still compare groups, but without random assignment. Maybe they compare existing groups or look at changes over time after some event.
More challenging to isolate the cause.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful about accounting for pre-existing differences between the groups. Rigor in quantitative causal research really comes down to meticulous design, controlling variables, trying hard to rule out those alternative explanations.
This is a lot of different approaches. It feels like you could get lost. How do researchers build confidence in their findings?
That's where triangulation comes in. It's a really powerful technique.
Triangulation, like from navigation?
Sort of. The idea is to approach the research question from multiple angles, using different data sets, maybe different methods, different theories, even different researchers.
And if they all point to the same conclusion,
Then you can have much greater confidence in that conclusion. It strengthens the credibility.
what kinds of triangulation are there?
You can have data triangulation using data collected at different times in different places or from different people. Investigator triangulation, having multiple researchers analyze the data.
Okay.
Theory triangulation, looking at the data through the lens of different theoretical perspectives. And methodological triangulation, which is very common, using multiple methods, often combining qualitative and quantitative approaches.
So mixing methods to get a fuller picture.
Exactly. Triangulation forces you to look beyond just one perspective, to seek convergence, but also to explain any discrepancies you find. It builds layers of evidence.
So when a researcher writes up their study, how do they convince readers they've done all this rigorous, deep work?
That's the job of the methodology section in their report or paper. It's the blueprint of their inquiry.
More than just saying, we did interviews.
Oh, much more. It needs to explain why they chose specific methods, how those methods connect to the research question. It needs to be transparent, detailed.
What should be in there?
You'd introduce the overall approach, qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods, and the specific design, like a case study or experiment. Then, the rationale. Why these methods?
Justify the choices.
Absolutely. Describe the instruments, use surveys, interview guides, whatever. Explain the data analysis procedures. If you used uncommon methods, explain them.
What about who or what was studied?
Crucial. Describe the sampling process, the target population, how the sample was selected, the sample size, and, importantly, acknowledge the limitations of the chosen methods.
Honesty about what the study can't do.
Exactly. A good methodology section shows thoughtful consideration, justifies every decision, and allows others to assess the validity and reliability of the research.
This is fascinating. It lays the groundwork. And now AI is stepping onto this stage. How is it changing deep research?
It's a huge shift. We're seeing these AI deep research platforms emerge, a whole new category of tool.
Designed to automate and enhance research.
Pretty much. They go way beyond basic chatbots or search engines. They're designed to navigate and process just massive amounts of information autonomously to tackle complex topics.
So they're not just finding stuff, they're analyzing it.
Yes. They can find relevant info, compare viewpoints, spot connections, and then synthesize it all into structured reports. And the speed is incredible. Minutes, maybe hours, for tasks that could take a human weeks.
Which platforms are leading this?
Well, there are several interesting ones. ChatGPT has a deep research mode that uses its browsing and analysis capabilities. Perplexity AI focuses on real-time web search, providing cited, thorough answers quickly.
Hey.
Google's Gemini, especially the advanced versions, leverages Google Search and can handle huge amounts of text for analysis. And Grok from XAI also offers real-time info, trying to balance depth and speed.
How do they do that? Is it just better searching?
It's more than that. They use advanced large language models, sophisticated search algorithms, and reasoning engines. They actively process the information. OpenAI talks about its agent using reasoning and adapting its strategy.
That sounds almost conscious. Agentic behavior.
That's the term, yeah. It means they can adapt, build a coherent analysis, almost like a human research analyst would. It's a key differentiator.
So how closely does this AI process mimic what a human researcher does, and where does it go beyond?
Well, it emulates core steps. Searching sources, comparing perspectives, identifying connections, structuring information. They're often programmed to explicitly find, analyze, synthesize.
Mirroring the human process.
Right, but where AI extends our capabilities is pure speed and scale. Processing volumes of data, text, images, PDFs at a rate humans just can't match. Think Gemini handling 1 million tokens or analyzing entire
But
libraries.
that efficiency gain is massive.
It's dramatic. You could call them cognitive scalpels and amplifiers. Precise extraction from oceans of data and amplifying our processing power.
But the human is still needed.
Absolutely critical for guiding the AI, asking the right questions, evaluating the output for accuracy, bias, context. That final layer of interpretation is human.
So AI augments, it doesn't replace.
That's the idea. It frees up humans from some of the grunt work, lets us focus on higher order thinking, creativity, critical evaluation, ethics.
What are the key features making these tools valuable then?
Speed and efficiency, obviously. Scale, integrating info from countless sources. Real-time access for many, like Perplexity and Grok. Crucially, cited outputs.
Links back to the sources.
Yes, vital for verification, for academic rigor. The output is often report style, more structured than a chat. And some try to do fact cross-checking.
Those citations seem really important for trust.
They are. It aligns with research norms and lets users dig deeper themselves, check the original context.
It really sounds like these tools could impact almost any field where research matters.
No question. In academia and science, it's foundational. Literature reviews, understanding complex theories. AI can now help draft those reviews, analyze huge data sets, think genomics, drug discovery like AlphaFold.
Accelerating discovery.
Massively. Even fields like design science, creating practical tools, involve deep, iterative research and long-term studies. AI can help manage and analyze that data over time. It shifts the human role more towards strategy and creativity.
What about in business? How is deep research used there?
It's vital for strategy, for growth. Businesses use these tools or traditional methods for market intelligence, understanding trends, competitors, opportunities.
Market analysis is a form of deep research.
Definitely. Digging into supply demand, customer segments, competition, economic factors, and qualitative methods like ethnography help understand why consumers behave certain ways, unmet needs, cultural factors.
So you can create better products or services.
Exactly. Deep customer research helps build compelling value propositions. In business, deep research helps you anticipate shifts, understand customers deeply, and gain a competitive edge.
And beyond science and business, policy, journalism.
Absolutely essential there, too.
Yeah.
Informing public policy relies on analyzing impacts economic, social. Rigorous research, like RCTs, supports evidence-based policymaking.
Making sure policies actually work.
Hopefully. And investigative journalism. It is deep research. Document analysis, interviews, data journalism. Think Watergate, the Spotlight investigation. Years of digging.
Holding power accountable.
Yes. And in social sciences, it's key for understanding complex human behavior, social structures, culture, using methods like ethnography, case studies. Deep research acts as a guardian, a catalyst for understanding, uncovering problems, informing change.
Okay, we see it's widely applicable, but let's unpack the value. What are the concrete benefits of investing in this deep approach?
Good question. The benefits go way beyond just having more information. First, there's enhanced understanding and insight generation.
Going beyond the facts.
Yes, deep learning, the outcome, is about extending ideas, seeing patterns, critical thinking. Qualitative methods give you rich context, reveal hidden patterns. AI tools aim to synthesize comprehensively, find niche info.
So increases the chance of those aha moments.
Exactly. It fosters connections, helps discern patterns. You could call it an insight multiplier.
And presumably, better insights lead to better decisions.
That's the second major benefit. Improved decision-making and problem-solving. Informed choices, whether in business using AI analysis or policymaking using rigorous evidence.
Market analysis guiding strategy.
Right. Interdisciplinary research tackling complex problems. Deep research filters and synthesizes data into actionable intelligence for strategic choices.
And does it drive innovation too?
Definitely. That's the third benefit. Fostering innovation and discovery. Deep learning involves applying knowledge creatively. Design science is geared towards innovation.
We mentioned AlphaFold, drug development.
Huge impacts from AI accelerating discovery. Cross-pollination of ideas and interdisciplinary work sparks creativity. Even long-term studies can yield unexpected, serendipitous discoveries.
By immersing researchers in the complexity.
Exactly. It creates fertile ground for those breakthroughs.
Okay, sounds great, but you hinted earlier. It's not always easy. Traditional deep research sounds time-consuming.
It absolutely has been. Which brings us to the fourth benefit, particularly relevant with AI, Time and resource efficiency.
AI speeds things up.
Dramatically. Tasks like information gathering, processing, initial synthesis, AI does them much faster.
Freeing up the humans.
Yes, for the critical analysis, interpretation, ethical thinking. AI can also streamline other bits, like data preprocessing. This efficiency could even democratize deep research, make it accessible to more people.
With the caveat that you still need the skills to evaluate the AI's output.
Crucial caveat.
Always.
So despite the benefits, there are hurdles. What are the main challenges, both traditionally and with AI?
You're right, it's not a smooth path. Traditional research faces hurdles like the sheer investment of time, money, effort. Just picking a good topic, feasible, novel, interesting, can be tough.
And maintaining that rigor we talked about.
Constant challenge. Avoiding bias in data analysis reporting. Interdisciplinary work has its own pitfalls. Communication barriers, resource fights, integrating different views without being superficial.
Just basic project management issues, too. Oh, yes. Unclear roles, lack of strategy, poor prioritization, scope creep, getting the findings out effectively. A lot boils down to the human factor.
Underestimating the work, poor planning, our own biases.
All of the above. Takes project management skills, self-awareness, collaboration, resilience.
Okay, those are traditional challenges. What about the specific problems AI introduces?
Several big ones. Accuracy and reliability. AI can hallucinate, make subtle errors, reflect biases from its training data, use outdated info.
Data limitations.
Right, often just public data, not proprietary stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's academic integrity. The ease of generating text raises plagiarism concerns, makes detection harder.
And the impact on our own skills.
Yeah, the worry about over-reliance hindering critical thinking development. And major ethical concerns. Data provenance, authenticity, potential for misleading results, algorithmic bias, IP rights.
The black box problem, too, not knowing why the AI concluded something.
Exactly. That opacity can make it hard to trust or debug, and it can hide or amplify biases.
So, faced with all these challenges, traditional and AI specific, what are the solutions? How do we navigate this?
For traditional research, it's about robust planning. Clear roles, anticipating limitations, bringing in specialists early, using project management tools, validating assumptions, realistic estimates, clear dissemination plans.
Solid research practices?
Fundamentally, yes. For the AI challenges, the key is rigorous human oversight and critical evaluation. Always.
Fact-checking, cross-referencing.
Yes. And cultivating digital literacy, critical thinking skills specifically for AI content. The best model is human-AI teaming.
AI assists, human directs, and validates.
Precisely. The human is the strategic director, the AI interrogator, the integrator of insights. We need best practices for this interaction, strong evaluation skills.
This really underscores the need for continuous learning and adaptation, especially for professionals trying to stay ahead. Which actually reminds me, for anyone listening who wants to seriously upgrade their skills, especially in tech and business, I have to mention the app created by our own producer, Etienne Newman. It's called Tech.
Ah, yes, I've heard good things.
It's an AI-powered platform designed to help you master and ace over 50 really in-demand certifications. Think cloud, cybersecurity, finance, business, even healthcare.
That covers a lot of ground. How does it work?
It uses AI to personalize the learning with things like performance-based questions, simulating real job tasks, plus quizzes, flashcards, practical labs, and full exam simulations.
Sounds comprehensive, like a deep dive for certification prep.
Exactly. It's designed to be your AI-powered key to career advancement. We'll put a link in the show notes for anyone interested. It seems relevant, given our talk about leveraging tools for deeper learning.
It certainly does, and that brings us back to the core idea. Deep research isn't just about tools, AI or otherwise. It carries ethical weight, especially when humans are involved or when AI makes decisions.
Ethics.
Right.
What are the key principles there?
For human subject research, the Belmont Report principles are foundational. Respect for persons' autonomy, informed consent, protecting vulnerable groups, benefits do no harm, maximize benefits, minimize risks, and justice, fair distribution of burdens and benefits, fair selection of subjects.
And scientific validity itself is ethical.
Yes, the NIH principles emphasize that too. Invalid research is unethical because it wastes resources and exposes people to risk for no benefit. Ethical rigor is fundamental to the legitimacy of deep research involving people.
How do these ethics translate to AI-driven research? New challenges there.
Definitely. Algorithmic bias is a huge one. AI learning and amplifying societal biases. Accuracy and reliability issues, we mentioned hallucinations, errors, potential for misinformation.
Data privacy and security, too.
Critical.
Yeah.
Protecting sensitive data. Accountability and transparency, that black box issue again. And intellectual property, who owns AI-generated content?
And the scale of potential harm is bigger with AI.
Potentially, yes. Errors or biases can be propagated much faster and wider.
So how do we ensure responsible innovation here?
It needs a proactive, collaborative approach.
Mhm.
Institutions need policies, training, oversight, maybe like IRBs for AI research. We need to adapt principles from interdisciplinary collaboration, leadership, communication, diverse views.
And keep monitoring, adapting.
Constantly. It requires researchers, ethicists, tech folks, policymakers, and the public to be involved.
It's clear this landscape is evolving fast. Where do you see deep research heading in the future?
I think we'll see an even deeper symbiosis of human intellect and artificial intelligence. AI handling more initial drafting, data collation, pattern spotting.
With humans focusing on critical evaluation, strategy, ethics.
Exactly. The centaur researcher, idea, human intelligence augmented by AI. The human role shifts to strategist, AI interrogator, insight integrator.
What about the role of big data and different methods?
Big data necessitates AI and advanced analytics. We'll see more convergence of methods, qualitative, quantitative, computational approaches used together. Mixed methods research will become even more central.
AI analyzing qualitative data at scale, maybe?
Yes. Or qualitative insights guiding AI analysis. Methodological convergence for richer, more robust findings.
Any other major trends?
Definitely a move towards open science, more transparency, collaboration, accessibility, open datasets enabling global teamwork, participatory research involving non-academics.
More collaboration needed for complex problems.
Absolutely. Interdisciplinary teams are essential. Big data analysis often demands that. And a renewed appreciation for long-term studies, seeing changes over time. The future looks more networked, inclusive, and maybe more patient.
So how do we prepare for this next generation of research?
Adaptability, inclusivity, robust ethics are key. We need standardized interdisciplinary frameworks, investment in training AI literacy, data analytics, mixed method skills.
Methodological agility.
Yeah.
Being flexible.
Yes, integrating new tools effectively, cultivating ethical foresight, anticipating issues, and revising how we evaluate research, recognizing interdisciplinary work and innovation. It's about fostering an ecosystem that values learning, critical thinking, ethics, and collaboration.
Maybe we can quickly touch on those AI platforms again. Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, key differences in a nutshell.
Sure. Availability varies. ChatGPT widely available. Grok linked to X Premium, Gemini tiers. Mechanism differs. ChatGPT uses its models plus browsing. Perplexity is search-focused. Gemini leverages Google's index. Grok uses X data plus web.
Real-time access.
Grok and Perplexity emphasize real-time. Gemini and ChatGPT access current info, but might have slight lags depending on the mode. Citations are generally provided, but quality can vary. Output format tends towards reports or structured answers.
User control. Speed. Best uses.
Control varies. Speed is generally fast, but depends on task complexity. ChatGPT might be good for broad synthesis, Perplexity for quick, cited answers, Gemini for deep analysis using Google's data, Grok for real-time insights, maybe with a unique viewpoint from X data. But they're all evolving fast.
It's a dynamic space. So wrapping up, deep research, whether human-led, AI-assisted, or a blend, remains crucial.
Absolutely. It's multifaceted, evolving, but fundamental for advancing knowledge. We've seen what it is, the traditional methods, how AI is augmenting it, its applications, its value, the challenges, the ethics.
And in an age drowning in information, maybe deep research is the antidote, the way to navigate complexity, generate knowledge that lasts.
I think that's exactly right. It's about moving beyond the superficial.
So a final thought for you listening. As AI continues to weave itself into how we explore and understand our world, how will your approach to learning, to seeking knowledge, evolve?
What new questions will you be equipped to ask now? And where might your own deep dive begin?
This special deep dive into the power of thorough investigation was brought to you by AI Unraveled, created and produced by Etienne Newman. Ready to master the future? Check out Etienne's AI-powered JamGetTech app.
Whether you're aiming to ace certifications in cloud, cybersecurity, finance, business, or healthcare, JamGetTech has you covered with performance-based questions, quizzes, flashcards, labs, and exams.
It really is your AI-powered key to career advancement. Find that link in the show notes. And please, don't forget to like and subscribe to AI Unraveled for more insightful explorations.